views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Welcome to Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, M, the Hungry Dominican. This is the show highlighting the Bronx food scene and today's hottest influencers. So if you like to eat, stay tuned. From BronxNet to the world, this is Foodie Down Bronx. Welcome once again to the show, guys. Make sure you stay connected to us on Instagram at BronxNetTV, at Foodie Down Bronx, and follow me at the Hungry Dominican. On today's show, our health and wellness correspondent, Marivan Rose, visits Freckles Juice Bar for some Acai Bowl goodness, and I talk to Bronx-based chef and entrepreneur, Chef Cesar. But before we get to today's guests, let's dig into some Chew News. Chef Millie Peartree, who we had the pleasure of having on the show last week, continues to fight alongside tenants at the building where her Bronx business, MP Fish and Fry Soul Food, was forcefully shut down. BronxNet reporter Jericho Tran has the full story.
I think it's the disenfranchisement of people in the Bronx. I think that when we live in the Bronx, we're looked at as less than.
The problem for Millie Peartree began on Friday, November 22nd, when her fish fry and soul food restaurant on Grand Concourse closed indefinitely after Con Edison shut off the gas for the building.
They said a dryer was hooked up to in the boiler room, and it subsequently, there was a gas leak, and there were multiple gas leaks in the building as well. Mm-hmm. So, but the main issue, the level 1 gas that got the building shut off, was due to the theft of service in the building.
The gas shutoff not only affected Millie Peartree Fish Fry and Soul Food, but all the residents who live in the 5-story residential building. Tenants learned the news about their predicament through a sign taped in their hallway just days before Thanksgiving.
This was the only communication that they gave to you guys. You didn't
That's
do
it.
anything else.
No more. That's it.
No call.
Only send no call. It's only send the bill for the rent, and you pay complete the rent, and you don't have an answer.
Ignacio Dominguez has lived in the building with his family for 40 years. He called the building's management firm, Stellar Management, on multiple occasions to try and resolve the problem.
You call and they don't answer the phone and explain, and they don't know when is back the gas, and the management, Stellar Management in William Street, they don't answer the phone. You sometimes answer the phone, pass to the other person, and hang up.
We reached out to Stellar Management for comment on the situation. They did not give a specific time as to when the gas would be turned back on. Instead, they offered an apology, saying, "Our residents remain our top priority. We apologize for any inconvenience as we await Con Edison's final decision as to when gas service can be restored." They also informed us that hot plates were distributed to all tenants within 24 hours of the gas leak. For tenants like Marina Singa, who has 3 children, a newborn, a 3-year-old, and a 6-year-old, these electronic hot plates do not help the situation.
Something that takes me 20 minutes to cook, on these plates that they gave us, it takes me an hour or longer to make this food. So I don't have time. I'm a full-time mom and a full-time worker.
Stellar Management also stated that there was no unauthorized gas piping or service on site. According to a report released this year by the New York City Department of Buildings, over the last 22 years, there have been a total of 18 complaints, which include gas work without a permit and illegal use of compressed gas in 2005, renovating store without a permit in 2017, and most recently, theft of service due to a riser valve left off and locked.
I just want them to put themselves in the position of how would you feel if this happened to you? How would you feel if this happened to a loved one? How would you feel if this was your grandmother living in this building? Because a lot of the elderly people live alone.
It is now the middle of January, and tenants at 2558 Grand Concourse continue to live without gas or rent reduction. Millie plans to partner with her local officials in order to raise awareness for her building and restore the gas for the tenants as well as her restaurant. Reporting for BronxNet, Jericho Tran.
In national news, the coronavirus outbreak, which began in a seafood and poultry market in the Chinese city of Wuhan, now has 5 confirmed cases here in the United States. The The 5 affected include a man in his 30s in Washington State, a Chicago woman in her 60s, a man in his 50s in California, a patient in Los Angeles County, and a 5th in Arizona. All had recently traveled to Wuhan. According to the CDC, these specific cases do not mean that the coronavirus is spreading in the U.S., although New York City Health Commissioner Dr. Osiris Barbit said, quote, "It's inevitable what we will have someone here in the U.S. positive with the coronavirus." The commissioner recommends that New Yorkers go about their daily lives, but practice everyday precaution. Those who traveled to China in the past 2 weeks and have symptoms such as fever, cough, or trouble breathing should seek immediate care, avoid contact with others, avoid travel, and practice good hygiene, such as washing your hands. The virus can be spread from person to person through coughing or sneezing. And switching gears, this past Sunday, the 62nd Grammy Awards were given out at LA Staples Center, and if you stayed up like me to catch nearly all 4 hours of the show, there might have been one thing that stuck out in your mind at the end of the night. Nope, it wasn't Lil Nas X and Nas performing together, or even Camila Cabello almost tripping on some stairs, or Aerosmith frontman Steven Tyler pulling up 2 women from the crowd to awkwardly dance with him. It wasn't any of those things, because all that really stood out was Nick Jonas performing with spinach in his teeth. Well, I applaud Nick for eating his greens. Gross, Nick. Really gross. All right, folks, that is this week's Chewed News, giving you a little food for thought. Foodie Down Bronx will be right back.
When you think of Dyer Avenue in the Bronx, do you think of acai bowls and fresh juices? We're here at Freckles Juice, and here we're going to explore exactly what an acai bowl is. Are you nervous about it? Don't know exactly what it is? Well, don't worry. Andre's going to tell us all about it. Ready? Let's go. Hi, Andre. Thank you so much for being on this episode of Healthy Bronx Bites with Mary.
Oh, thank you, and welcome to Freckles.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. So,
First time?
actually, it's not my first time. It's like my second or third time.
Okay.
And what brought me here is because I heard you guys have these amazing things called acai bowls.
Yes, we certainly do. We do have the Acai Bowl, which is an essential berry from Brazil. Yeah.
So I feel like we're going to be learning a lot today. Before we even get into that amazing dish that I've never had, I wanted to actually talk about your establishment. This establishment is extremely important to the community, and I want to know why, out of all the places to have something like this, why did you choose this location?
Well, according to our founder, approximately 4 years plus, Miss Felicia Forbes, it was part of her passion to ensure there's something enriched in the community where it's different. And juicing was her thing. Her friends, everyone used to come to the house. Hey, make me a juice. I'm feeling sick. This is what's happening. She's juicing. And then she developed a passion and said, let me look around our community, see how many stores offer this. And with recommendations coming from her, I think you should do this. And here we are.
How many years has it been?
It's been 4 years plus. So coming October of this year, it should land just about 5 years.
And I noticed on my way in, there were a lot of beautiful artwork all around the establishment. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
We have local artists as well, but the main ones, as you can see to the right of our store, once you walk in out, it's from a young man. He's actually from Belize, but he now resides in France. As the saying say here at Freckles, where juice meets culture. So we're adverting for diversity and ethnicity right here while we're juicing.
Oh, I love that. So now that we got all the beautiful culture and we have a little bit more sense about you and the background of the shop, can you go right into what is an acai bowl?
Well, Acai Bowl, it's right here, ladies and gentlemen, right before your very eyes. It is from Brazil. Okay. And it's from the Amazon area. It's grown like a palm tree. You know what a palm tree is, right?
Yes.
Like, it's grown like this in seeds, and then they process it into this beautiful making right here. It's rich in antioxidant. It's actually good for many stuff. I was told it's rich in zinc. It's also good for digestion. It's also good for having a healthy day.
I like that. So if we're going to make this bowl, what's the first thing that we need to do?
So first of all, this comes in a bucket. I already have it prepared for you guys in a bucket where we just scoop. It's about 2 scoops we added.
And it has to be cold?
Scoops. Yes, it has to be frozen because if it's melted, it's going to be liquefied.
Okay.
And we could turn that We can also use that to make a protein shake. We could make a smoothie into it, a juice into it. But for this is the bowl. And what we do, we add our milk right here, our content, which is our milk.
So is it any type of milk?
Well, we don't do dairy, so we specialize in almond milk.
Okay.
So almond milk, we add it right there, just about to half right there. And we blend it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pass this over to Carl over here, and Carl's gonna get this started for us, all right?
Sounds good.
Okay, now that we have our blended acai, some people say acai, some say acai. Put this to the side. Before we do that, we want to make sure the texture is rich enough. You see that?
Okay. I think they want to see it. My
I'm
viewers
sorry.
want to see how it looks at home.
There you go. Look at the consistency, and I'm going to have you pour it for us. There you go.
Got it.
And it's going to come down all the way. Amazing. That should be it. You could put a spoon back right. And see, you did something excellent there. Look at this.
Oh, the professional way.
I try to look very presentable for our clients or customers who gets this on the daily. I'm gonna put this away right here.
'Cause I'm definitely one of those people. If it doesn't look too good, I'll
You
still
know
eat
what?
it. But you know, the
Yep.
eyes matter.
Yep. Now,
Okay.
I'm gonna let you pick your toppings.
Okay.
And we're gonna decorate this bowl right here. Let this baby look like, yeah, it's yummy, it's healthy.
You decorate it.
All right. So you, I know, pretty much is allergic to bananas.
I
asked
know.
her
I'm one of the
before.
only people allergic to bananas.
Oh,
Don't judge
man.
me.
So we're gonna go for strawberries, right?
Yes.
You definitely said you like your strawberries.
Love
so we just
strawberries.
gonna sprinkle it there.
See, I would not have decorated this nearly as pretty. This would have just been a mess.
Oh man! And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna add some superfood for you.
So what is this?
This is actually hemp seed.
So what's so good
And
about hemp seed?
Hemp seed is so good for the internal intake for digestion, and also it keeps you filled as well. So this is something. It's very healthy and it's very hearty at the same time. And we sprinkle it across like that.
And it is very pretty.
Oh,
So it's
yeah, it
filling
gives it
and
that
pretty.
rich look. Okay. What we're gonna do as well. We're gonna add your granola. Are you a fan of granola?
I love granola.
There you go. This is a whole meal in a bowl.
Again, it has that filling effect.
There you go. And we're gonna bring this over. Now this is what you're gonna do on your own.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of coconut.
There you go.
So what is coconut good for?
In Jamaica, right? They have this saying that it's good for the heart. It cleanses the heart. Coconut is actually good for many stuff. It's good for digestion. It's good for your skin. It's good for purifying the melanin within your blood. So it's rich. You can put this in anything.
I think this is good. I think I want to taste it now.
Oh.
Am I missing something?
Yes. Guess what you're missing?
What am I missing?
Your spoon. Let me get you a spoon from right
Yes.
here. And you could dig deep.
I want you to try it too.
Sure. No problem.
Because I want my coconut spreading skills.
Okay.
So this is my first time. Ready?
Look at that. All right.
Wait, I gotta get all the other ingredients too.
There you
then.
go. Don't miss. Don't
I
miss.
gotta get fancy.
Look at that. 1, 2,
3.
3.
Mmm. It's like a nutty, sweet, almost like not yogurt, but like a fruity yogurt almost.
Now this is served any time of the day. It can be eaten for lunch, breakfast, dinner, brunch.
So why do you recommend these bowls to someone? Someone who's like maybe like me, who's a little bit reserved on trying like a cold dish. What are the health benefits really?
Technically, it's low in fat.
Okay.
Very low in fat. The calorie count in Acai Bowl is very low, and with the zinc that's in it, it stabilizes your blood tone as well.
Oh, wow.
So I recommend this to anyone who say, listen, I want something fast, quick, and healthy, and it's super fast to prepare. Not even 5 minutes, boom, it's right there before your eyes.
I want to say thank you so much for doing this,
You're
for
welcome,
sharing
anytime.
this recipe. If someone wanted to do this at home, it seems like all these ingredients they could do at home. Maybe just have to buy the acai.
Yeah,
like
they can purchase acai, but not only that, doing it at home, you can add your own ingredients if you want. You can add your kale, you can add your protein powder.
In the blender
In the
with-
blender and blend it. The kale, you can have the kale on top, just for the color in it, as well as for your intake, because vegetables is pretty good for you.
So I know you guys offer this amazing acai
Yes.
bowl, but what else do you guys offer?
Well, not only that, acai is just a tiny fraction of what we have to offer here at Freckles. This is where you can get healthy eats, such as you can get vegan burgers, you can get vegetarian burgers. We offer our salmon burger, which everyone seems to die for a lot of times. We got our vegetable soup. The list goes on. Moving over to our smoothies, we got green smoothies, we got fruit smoothies, also our natural juices. That's something at this time of the year that we focus on. Like, for example, we have our air drizzy, which was one of our top sellers. It's a green smoothie. You guys should check that out with the parsley, the kale, the cucumber, the apples. You guys come on down, try it out.
So why do you focus on those juices this time of year?
At this time of the year, this is actually good for your immune system, because at this time, this is when everyone, it's
Gets
like
sick.
gather all
I feel
the
it.
food inside, and then the weather changes, so it helps to build up against sickness. Like, this is flu season, and for me, it's better than immunity shot. Not for me. I'll drink a natural juice. I take my turmeric shots, and that helps to knock out whatever is coming. Helps to fight it and get rid of the dead toxins that sit inside. So I'll recommend you come on down, try a natural juice. Ask our staff. They're very knowledgeable of what to give to you. They're not just going to give you any and anything. You want to find out. They're like doctors here. Hey, what are your symptoms? What do you have today? Oh, you're coughing. Your eyes are red. Did you get any sleep? You know what? You look like you need to wake up. Let me give you some ginseng inside of it. Stuff like that.
So you guys provide recommendations as well. So if someone
Yes,
who's
we do.
new to juicing or maybe not used to eating this type of food, you guys can provide guidance as well. I think that's so awesome.
Yes, we do.
Again, thank you so much for what you're doing here and what you're doing for the community.
Anytime.
And to my viewers at home, I want to say thank you for watching this segment of Healthy Bronx Bites with your host, Maven Rose. I hope to see you in the next episode of Foodie Down Bronx. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Welcome back to Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, the Hungry Dominican. Our guest today is a Bronx-based chef and entrepreneur seeking to bridge the gap of Latin and Southern food. How is he doing it? Let's find out. Joining us on the show today is Chef Cesar. Chef,
How you doing?
thank you, sir, for being here today.
Thank you, thank you.
So there's a few things I want to cover. First and foremost, your background. You were born and raised in Brooklyn.
Correct.
Which part of Brooklyn were you born and raised?
Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy.
And I grew up between Bed-Stuy and Bushwick pretty much.
Most people know that as the hometown of Biggie.
Correct,
right?
correct. Biggie.
But you've made the jump over to the BX.
Yes.
So how long were you in Brooklyn before you jumped over to the
Pretty
Boogie
much
Down?
all my life until about maybe like 2009, give or take. Like 2010, I probably shot up to the Bronx, do the work. And I've been there ever since.
Yeah. So what prompted the move? I mean, besides being, the best burger out there, but why would you come to the BX?
It was really, honestly, it was just for work. Like, it was just the travel and the commute all the way out to Brooklyn, back and forth, and managing out here, getting off at 2 in the morning and having to shoot back. And I just ended up moving out here and never left. Been here ever since.
Kind of just made sense to
Yeah, it made
make
sense.
this your home.
Correct, correct.
Got it. So you are a private chef and caterer.
Yes.
And for me, it's like I always love to talk to people about their passion. Of course, food is your passion, but that moment, when was that pivotal moment that you knew cooking was the path you had to take down in life?
I think it might be cliche, but most chefs start off like this. Like, I was maybe about 17, and a childhood friend offered me a job at a spot called Cozy's to be a dishwasher. And, I didn't think nothing of it. And then, like, throughout the process of, like, watching them make fresh breads and the ovens, it just caught my eye. And I like working with my hands. So anything to do with working with my hands, I was attracted to.
Right.
So that kind of sparked it off from there. And then ever since, I've worked I started off in, like, casual dining spots and fast food spots, and then I drifted off, sidetracking off into starting a cleaning company. And I did that for a while, and then as I was cleaning certain restaurants, I started giving insights in one restaurant in Brooklyn to teach them how to run the spot. And then I was just like, I miss it, and I jumped back into it, and then worked in a few Michelin star spots and more elevated restaurants, and just to critique and develop my craft.
Right.
And I've been there ever since.
So what kind of advice were you giving that first restaurant? What did you feel you had learned up to that point that you could start giving people advice on how to run
I
restaurants?
just think it was something so simple as how the staff was moving and like this customer service and then how he was moving around in the kitchen.
Right.
And it just something that clicked. It was just like, yeah, I should be back in the kitchen. It was nothing too serious, but it was just like me being nosy and giving my insights to something I seen that I didn't think was correct.
Sure.
And it kind of just hit me like, you know what, this is what I should be doing full time, you know.
So you have this this sort of innate love of hospitality,
Correct.
of making
Overall.
right, making a
Yeah,
restaurant run smoothly, right? So you don't actually have any culinary background, so you're a self-taught chef. You've come up, you know.
Yeah, I attempted to go to culinary school and then I got into it after cooking for like maybe 8 years. And I thought it would be good for me to, you know, further spark my career, you know, have it on a resume. And then I got lucky and worked at a spot called Rebel, which had a Michelin star, was in the city. And the chef was like, don't even go, you're gonna learn here. And I was just like, I just backed out before I owed any money and then just took off from there, working at different spots and working my way up the ranks.
Right. So you have a few things going for you right now. One of them is Moreno's Cuchifrito, which I want to talk about. You have the logo on your shirt, on your hoodie, and I came to find out that that was designed by the Bronxer.
Yeah, I reached
Alex
out to him.
Rivera.
Yes, correct.
So clearly you were a fan of his work.
Correct.
And you reached out. So when did this idea of Moreno's Cuchifrito come to you?
It's still new. It just came about with all the food that I'm cooking, and I was like, how can I tie this up and present it, you know, in a cool, modern way of what I love to do and what I love to eat and cook, and it came up with that. You know?
Right. So you push Southern and Latin comfort foods.
Correct.
How do you blend them together? What are the differences? What are the things that you find that are the same in both types of food? I mean, for me, they're both comfort food, right? I don't really label it Latin comfort food. It's just that's my comfort food.
And you're right about that.
So what do you find are the things that connect those two? Do you find that, are there any dishes that are challenging when you try to sort of blend those two genres
So I'm
together?
a bit of a rebel, so like I like to merge both of them together to get people to eat something different. So a lot of my friends are Latino. For example, something with grits. So a lot of Latinos don't eat grits, right? So I'm like, okay, how can I present this and wrap it up and get them to try it? So I came up with a dish called El Puente, the bridge, right? And it was one of the first dishes that I used to try to test this out. And it was grits, and most shrimp and grits for Southerners is like, it'd be like a tomato-based stew with creamy grits and like shrimp on top. So what I would do is, because bacalaitos is very familiar to people in the Latin community, so I would make bacalaito or like nuggets, and I would make a sofrito base and smother that over the grits. So now you have creamy grits and sofrito and bacalao. So they're like, all right, I know bacalao, I know sofrito, let me try it out. And it's like, all right, bam, you got a hit. So that's just one other thing. And then another thing is like, Tedesco is something I really ate a lot of being in the Bronx and this living in.
So you're making good decisions.
Correct. I'm just working on different
choices.
things. So you know, so like for the Tedesco, I would like make it into a bite. So I would take the mango, ball it up, stuff it with chorizo, cheese, and roll it in cornmeal, which is something used in Southern cooking a lot, whether it's making cornbread or frying items. And now you have this Tedesco fritter, which has never been done, right? So, you know, I'm trying to find a way to just really marry the two and show that the techniques can be put together, and then other food is delicious just as well.
Right. So, and how has the reception been? Because you're saying that one of the reasons you were influenced in doing this is because you have so many friends who are Latino. How have they been receiving your sort of experiments?
Good, because like, I don't eat that, I don't want that. And it's like when they try, I'm like, come on, let's give it a shot.
Right. So
everything is positive so far. So good.
Do you find that a lot in the food world, especially when you're trying to be experimental? Do you find a lot of people have resistance to what they consider new foods or repurposed foods, which is, you know, the idea of foods that we're all familiar with but being presented in a different way? Have you found that some people are just, you know, they just don't want to go for it as much as you want to push it on you? You know, you have some friends who say, yeah, I'll do it, and they love it. But I think overall, I mean, do you find that most consumers are a little afraid of taking a chance on foods
Very
that
much
they don't
so.
feel comfortable with.
Yeah, most consumers are like they're skeptical, like like. But the newer generations are more open up to like trying new things. But overall, it's like most people are like, nah, I'll stick to what I'm used to. The basic arroz con pollo. I don't want nothing crazy and different.
Right.
So.
And do you have to use social media to push sort of new inventions a lot? Or how do you use social media to push out the foods that you're creating, since so much of it is experimental?
I use social media like at a balance point, just as far as like just to get the images out there and the concepts, but then I try to work within the locals. Like I've done a lot of pop-ups for the Bronx Brewery, and that also gives me access to like experimenting and getting people to try different things. And then the Salsa project as well, I've done things with that too. There's so I'm tapping into the Latin community to make sure that like, hey, this is something different. Let's try this out. Let's see what you think about it. And then get the feedback and go back and work out any kinks, if any.
Sure. So it's a lot of trial and error.
Correct.
You have to go back and forth. Tell me a little bit about Savory Bites.
So Savory Bites was created to give me an outlet to express myself as a chef. So I'm very stubborn. Like working in most restaurants, it was just you're doing what somebody else wants you to do. So it was really something for me to start, just to like cook the type of food I wanted to do and just express myself on a plate. And that was pretty much the cause of that.
Right. So I want to kind of wrap it up with a little bit of some Brooklyn and Bronx vibes. Food-wise, what differences do you see in the borough? I think really there's more in common than any differences.
Correct.
But what do you feel about the Bronx food scene versus the Brooklyn food scene? For me, it's like an endless conversation about what's happening in Brooklyn. But what do you feel are the vibes between both boroughs when it comes to the food scene?
Well, if I go back maybe 10 years, I would say it's very similar. Now Brooklyn is changing, they would say for the better. So the food scene is a little more like more hip, more modern, cliche. But as far as for what I'm trying to present, there's not much of that anymore. And I think Cuchi Fritos are going extinct right now, to be honest. So I'm trying to really revamp and bring back something that we once had, but with a modern twist to it.
Got it. Something that feels familiar, but it's very
Correct.
much...
Very.
Got it. So one last thing I want you to mention to me about the Bronx Supper Club.
Yes.
What's going on with that one?
So I'm working on a home-based supper club, which really showcase something more elevated. So like with Morenos Cuchi Fritos, really like, it sticks kind of true to what you normally would see, like with empanadas and things like that. But I'm trying to really showcase my talent as a chef as well, and show people like you can do something other than just frying food. So I'm working on a menu that's going to play with certain concepts that'll be more that you think you can go to a Michelin star spot and get.
Sounds good.
But with the soulfulness of Latin food.
Love that. Thank you, Chef, and good luck with all of your endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, stay connected with Chef Cesar on Instagram at Chef Cesar 1022 and at Savory Bites NYC. Well, that's all for the show, guys. Thank you again for tuning in, and thank you to my guests for joining me today. Tune in every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. here on BronxNet Optimum 67 and FiOS 33. Also, make sure to tune in on the go at bronxnet.org and find clips of the show on YouTube. From BronxNet to the world, this is Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, the Hungry Dominican, always reminding you to feed your mind, feed your body, and if you see me coming along, feed me. Adios.